Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to a great day of learning. We're your teachers today. I'm Miss Brandy.
And I'm Miss Amanda, and we're so glad to be with you today for tons of fun, reading, and knowledge.
In previous lessons, you learned about the seasonal cycle.
That's right. Now, we learned about all of the seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall.
And yes, in today's lesson, we'll continue to learn about this information, but with some new learning goals.
Oh.
We will begin learning about the life cycle of a plant, and we'll focus on standards RI.2.2 and 2.9, SL.2.3, and L.2.5a. In those previous lessons, we've learned how to identify characteristics for the four seasons, including which plants and animals we see most often during each season.
Now, each of the four seasons have different characteristics of temperatures and even amounts of sunlight. Plants and animals are affected by the temperatures and sunlight in each season.
As we mentioned earlier, today we'll learn more about another one of those many cycles in nature.
Yes, so we want you to listen very carefully to today's read aloud to find out about the main topic. That is going to be that life cycle of a flowering plant.
I can't wait. Let's look at some words we'll need to know for our story today. And then we can learn all about the life cycle of a flowering plant.
That sounds perfect, all right? Now, it looks like our very first word is attracted. Now, boys and girls, when we say what word, that means that we want you to say the word back to us. So let's try it. The word is attracted. What's the word? Yes, attracted. Now, attracted means to make someone or something interested in something or someone else.
We could use this word attracted in a sentence like this. The bright, colorful signs attracted customers to the bake sale.
Ah, perfect sentence. Now, our next word, Miss Brandy, is what?
Ooh, emerge. What word? Yes, emerge. Emerge means to come out into view or to become visible.
Ah, now, scholars, you can use the word emerge in a sentence. You try it. Oh, yes. I heard someone say, at the beginning of spring, bears emerge from their long winter hibernation.
Awesome. Our next word is pollinators. What's the word? Yes, pollinators. Pollinators are things that carry pollen to a plant to enable pollination. Yep.
Perfect. Now, I do have a sentence for pollinators. Insects are perhaps our planet's most important pollinators. We need them so that we can have beautiful flowers and plants to eat.
Wow, good sentence. Our next word is protective. What's the word? Yes, protective. And protective means intended to protect or shelter something or someone.
Scholars, can you use the word protective in a sentence? Ooh, that was a good one.
Yes.
I heard someone say many nuts have a protective outer layer called a shell.
Okay. Our last word is reproduce. What's the word? Yes, reproduce. And reproduce means to make babies or new plants.
Now, a great sentence for this word could be, plants need pollen from other plants in order to reproduce or make seeds for new plants.
Awesome job using those important vocabulary words in a sentence. Now, let's get into our read aloud and listen for those words.
And remember, pay close attention to today's read aloud to find out the main topic, the life cycle of a flowering plant.
I am so excited to learn more about that life cycle of a flowering plant because plants are my favorite.
That's true.
It is true.
That's true.
Boys and girls, are you ready to hear a story? Great, I am too.
Boys and girls, we've brought along our slideshow once again today. We're going to look at slides showing the life cycle of a flowering plant.
All living things pass through stages from birth to adult life called a life cycle. For many living things, the cycle of life flows the 4 seasons of the year. Can you name the 4 seasons in order?
That's correct. Spring, summer, fall, and winter.
For some living things, the cycle of life is short and is completed in just days, months, or a single year. For other living things, the cycle of life continues for many, many years.
Some living things have longer lifespans than others. Some flies only live for a few days, but people can live to be over 100 years old.
Today, you will learn about the life cycle of a flowering plant. Just think about all the flowering plants you see in parks, yards, gardens, fields, and meadows. Our world is awash with colorful, vibrant flowering plants. How do these plants grow and reproduce or make seeds for new plants? Well, let's find out.
A flowering plant begins its life cycle as a seed. Seeds need special conditions to germinate or to begin to grow. Spring provides seeds with the right conditions to grow. Therefore, the life cycle of a flowering plant begins in spring. In spring, there is more sunlight and temperatures are warmer. Why is there more sunlight and warmth in the spring?
Temperatures begin to increase in spring because wherever this season is occurring, that part of the earth is now facing the sun and receiving more sunlight.
Seeds need just the right amount of light from the sun, nutrients from the soil, and water in order to grow. Once the seed germinates or sprouts, it grows and develops into a young plant with roots, a stem, and leaves.
Roots, stem, and leaves are the 3 main parts of a young plant. The first leaves unfold to allow photosynthesis to begin. And photosynthesis is the process by which plants make their own food as well as oxygen. Plants use sunlight and water to make food in the form of glucose, a type of sugar.
In the warmth of spring and summer, plants continue to grow. The young plant is called a seedling. Gradually, the plant's stem will grow taller and true leaves will emerge.
The word emerge means to become visible or able to be seen.
Once the plant matures or becomes an adult plant, flowers appear. In order for a flowering plant to reproduce or produce seeds that will make new flowering plants, it must be pollinated. Pollination is when pollen from one flower mixes with the pollen of another flower so that the plant can make seeds.
But how is pollen transferred from one place to another? In other words, how does pollination occur? Flowering plants need pollinators to help them with pollination. Pollinators are insects, birds, and other animals that are attracted to the shape, fragrance, or color of a flower. Without pollinators, most flowering plants would not produce seeds and fruit.
Remember, plants need pollen from other plants in order to make seeds. Pollinators carry pollen from one flower to another flower.
There are many types of pollinators, such as birds and small animals, but insects are the #1 pollinators of flowering plants. The flowers of a flowering plant are designed to attract various pollinators, especially insects. The shape, fragrance, and color of the flower, as well as the sweet-tasting nectar contained within the flower itself, attract many different kinds of insects. As insects move from flower to flower, the sticky substance called pollen clings to their bodies and is transferred not only within a flower, but from flower to flower.
Honeybees, bumblebees, ants, moths, beetles, and flies are just some of the insect pollinators. Honeybees are the most common pollinators. They carry out more pollination than any other insect. Some scientists think that bees are attracted to bright blue and violet colored flowers, whereas butterflies like fragrant yellow, pink, red, and orange flowers. Butterflies also like wide petals so that they can settle on them while they drink the sweet nectar.
Birds are important pollinators too, especially of wildflowers. For example, hummingbirds have perfectly designed beaks that can reach the nectar inside long tubular-shaped flowers. There are more than 2,000 different kinds of birds in the world that feed on nectar. Birds have a poor sense of smell and help to pollinate unscented flowering plants because they are attracted by the color and shape of the flowers.
A variety of small mammals pollinate flowering plants also: mice, shrews, and rats. Even tree-dwelling animals such as lemurs and small monkeys can help to transfer pollen. People also help the pollination process. Often when people are working in their flower gardens, the sticky pollen is accidentally carried from flower to flower. For some plants, pollination does not just occur during the daytime. Some scented flowers attract nighttime pollinators such as bats and moths. Here, the word bats means a small furry animal with wings. The word bats could also mean to hit a baseball.
Although 90% of flowering plants are pollinated by animals, especially insects, the wind and even water can play a part too. Pollen is carried by the wind. Flowering plants that live in water, such as lilies, can be pollinated as the water carries the pollen from one plant to another.
Most seeds are dispersed in late summer and fall.
Just like pollination, there are various ways that seeds can be dispersed or spread apart in different directions. Many flowering plant seeds are carried away from the parent plant by the wind. As the wind blows, the seeds are carried up into the air. Some flowering plants have pods or capsules that explode, sending forth a burst of tiny seeds into the air.
Other flowering plants drop their seeds into rivers and streams, and the seeds are carried along to their new home. Why might it be important for seeds to be dispersed or spread apart from each other? Dispersal of seeds is very important for the survival of the plant species. If plants grow too closely together, they have to compete for light, water, and nutrients from the soil. Seed dispersal allows plants to spread out from a wide area and avoid competing with one another for the same resources. Sometimes animals carry seeds from place to place without even knowing it. Some seeds contained within a protective casting can attach themselves to the fur of passing animals. This protective layer keeps the seed safe.
The protective casting will eventually fall off the animal and rest in the soil, ready to begin the life cycle process. Some seeds are contained within a fruit that animals like to eat. Animals either spit out the seeds or they eat them, and the seeds reach the earth in the animal droppings that are left behind. Once on the ground, they rest in the soil until the germination process can begin again the following spring.
All of this is happening around us in spring, summer, and early autumn. The potential for new life is being created as flowering plants are pollinated and seeds are dispersed. Across the world, the life cycle of flowering plants is renewed or happens again each year.
Scholars, now let's discuss some questions about our story together. Okay, our first question is, what is the main topic of our read aloud?
Ah, I heard that. Let me get a little closer. Scholars, can you see our ears pointing right toward you? There you go. The main topic of the read aloud is the life cycle of a flowering plant.
Great. And what is the first stage of the life cycle of a flowering plant?
All right, we're going to get close again.
Yeah.
I heard you. That first stage of the life cycle of a flowering plant is a seed.
Next, what happens after a seed is planted?
That's right. Once the seed has germinated, it grows and develops into a young plant with roots, a stem, and the leaves.
Great! Which one of our 4 seasons is the best time for planting seeds?
You knew it. Spring is the best time for planting seeds.
But why is spring the best time for planting seeds?
Right. Remember in our text, it said in spring there is more sunlight and there are warmer temperatures, as well as enough water. So those conditions allow seeds to germinate.
Okay, let's talk about pollinators.
Okay.
How do flowering plants attract pollinators?
We have to remember what pollinators are.
That's right.
Right? Now, flowering plants use their fragrance, their shape,
right.
and their color to attract those pollinators that move the pollen from one plant to another.
Yes, and how does a hummingbird's beak help it to pollinate those flowers?
What do you think? Yes, the beak of a hummingbird is perfectly designed to reach nectar inside long tubular-shaped flowers, and therefore it helps to pollinate them.
Yes. Besides animals, what other ways can plants be pollinated?
Oh, I remember. I'm thinking back to our story. That's the perfect answer. The wind and the water can help to pollinate plants also.
Yes. How do the wind and water help pollinate those plants, though?
Miss Brandy won't let us just give an answer, right? We
Lots
have
of
to go a little deeper, right? That's good. That's so good for our brains.
Yep.
So what do you think? How does wind and how does water help to pollinate those plants? There you go. Pollen can be carried by the wind, right? And flowering plants that live in water can have their pollen carried from flower to flower through the water.
Yes. Okay, now here's another. Okay, name 3 kinds of seed dispersal. And remember, seed dispersal is the way those seeds are spread in different directions. So
Right.
3 kinds.
Okay, 3 kinds.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I heard some
Yes,
answers,
me
okay?
too.
So the 3 kinds of seed dispersal are animals, the wind,
Yes.
and the water.
Good job.
Now, scholars, you did a great job listening and then answering all of those questions. They're so important. It's so important for us to read and learn from what we've read.
Yes, great job. In that read aloud, you heard some seeds contained within a protective casing can attach themselves to the fur of passing animals. Now say that word protective with me. Protective.
Now, I know that protective means something that is intended to shelter or to keep something or someone safe.
Yes. And earlier we heard the sentence, many nuts have a protective outer layer
Right.
called a shell, using that word protective. Can you think of other items that are designed to be protective or provide that mean of protection? Try to use that word protective when you tell someone in your house about it.
Great job. Now, yes, if you said jacket, jacket is protective because it does keep you warm.
Yes, awesome job. What's the word we've been talking about?
It's protective.
Yes.
Protective is the word.
Now I'm going to read several sentences to you. If what I say is described as something that is protective, I want you to say, that is protective. If what I describe as something that is not protective, just say, that is not protective.
Okay.
And remember to answer in complete sentences.
Got
Here's
it.
our first one. Is using bug spray to keep mosquitoes away, is it protective or not?
Right.
Yes.
That is protective.
It is. What about wearing a helmet when you ride your bike?
Again, that is protective.
What about eating pizza?
Well, I mean, it's yummy.
It is.
But that is not protective.
It's not protective. Using an umbrella when it rains.
Yes, that is protective.
It is. Climbing a tree.
That is not protective.
What about wearing shin pads when you play soccer?
What do you think? I concur. That is protective.
It is.
Excellent work, scholars. Kiss your brain. Good job.
In the read aloud, you also heard this. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants make their own food as well as oxygen. Now, say the word process with me. Process. The word process means a series of actions to create something. Like the writing process includes the steps you can take to write a paragraph.
Perfect.
Using the words first, next, and then. Can you think of the steps of other processes? Try to use that word process when you tell about it.
You know what? There are steps in the process of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I'm definitely getting hungry now. Pizza and peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
Great job. What's the word we've been talking about? Yes, process. I've had so much fun today, boys and girls. We hope you enjoyed learning all about the life cycle of a flowering plant with us. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Now, remember to join us again so that we can continue to explore all kinds of animals and places and events in our great world. Thank you so much for doing your best today, scholars. Be sure to share something that you learned today with somebody in your home.
All rights and credits for today's lesson belong to Core Knowledge Language Arts. We would like to thank them for publicly sharing these valuable resources. The views and opinions expressed in this lesson are those of the Core Knowledge authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Mississippi Department of Education. Thank you for joining us today, boys and girls. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.